This is Truckee B47 from the Ranger Command Power Hour, and you are listening to the Four-Eyed Radio Network. Ranger Command is now on Patreon. Become a patron by pledging as much or as little as you like every month and receive cool perks. By pledging, you are helping us make our show even better. Go to patreon.com/rangercommandph to learn more. Thanks.
Hey there, Eric here from Socially Awkward Studios, and this Four-Eyed Radio presentation is being proudly brought to you by Raven Designs, illustration and design that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Appropriately Inappropriate. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Paul Lucy. I told you that dude was crazy, man. He is loud, he's energetic, but he's cool as shit, and he's got great stories, and he was a great guest. So, Paul, if you're listening, thank you for coming on, and everybody, hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't listen to it yet, go back and check it out. Let's see, right off the bat, follow me on Twitter at @IamKevinElliott, and shows coming up. The only thing I'm going to promote right now is Thursday, April 2nd, Stand Up Scottsdale with me, Johnny LaQuasto, and Grant Cotter. And I think you can get tickets at standupscottsdale.com. The link wasn't up last time I checked, which is horseshit. So just keep checking it. And then eventually I'll post a link once that comes up on Twitter so you guys can go on there and purchase tickets. So do that Thursday, April 2nd, Stand Up Scottsdale. Our guest this week, one of the coolest chicks ever in the world, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, and for the first time ever, I'm saying her name out loud. I've never said it before. Terese, Cilluffo, what's up?
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank
cool,
you for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming. Nancy's not here. So I don't know if that's a shock. She's been out of town forever, and she's out of town again. She's skiing in Aspen or something. So we'll hear if she broke a bone next week, I think. Terese, right off of the bat for you, promote everything that's in your life.
Okay. Next weekend, next Saturday, which I believe is the 21st, I'm on a show in the Taffy Room at Stand Up Scottsdale. And I have a movie that I did in China earlier this year with Jean-Claude Van Damme that's coming out in May 20th. So it's called Pound of Flesh. And I'll be in it taking my clothes off if you want to watch that.
Really?
Oh, yes.
That's so cool. How long were you in China doing that for?
I was in China for a month.
No way.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
How much can you... Well, I want to talk about China, but how much of the movie can you give away?
I can give away, certainly everything about my part.
Yeah?
Yeah. The basic gist of it is Jean-Claude Van Damme has a brother that he's been separated from for many years, and the brother has a child who needs a kidney. And the only match for the kidney is Jean-Claude Van Damme. So he's going to donate his kidney to his niece and then gets taken advantage of by a prostitute. It actually takes place in the Philippines, but we filmed it in China. And she steals his kidney. So now he doesn't have a kidney.
How do you just steal a kidney?
I don't know. I guess organ trafficking
that's right.
In
that
the
makes
Asian
sense
countries
now.
is a big thing. So
it's a
big thing, I guess. So she takes his kidney. So then he goes on a rampage trying to find his kidney.
Cool.
And where I come in, I am a prostitute that works with her, so her coworker. And eventually, at one point, they have to come to me to try and get information about her. And then it's a whole tit for tat, okay, I'll tell you, but where's the money kind of thing. And it's a really interesting scene, probably the hardest acting scene that I've ever done in my entire life, because I'm on the lap of one main character, giving him a lap dance while stripping off my clothes, while simultaneously doing 3 pages of paragraph long dialogue with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Wow.
So it was a lot. And then there was 50 extras behind me watching me take off my clothes. So
how many takes?
Oh, God. We filmed that scene
7 days.
It
was 7 days worth.
It was probably 8 hours. Well,
wow.
I was on set that day probably for 14, but, with setup and changing shots and everything. I'd say about like 8 hours of actual.
Wowzers.
Yeah, it was.
Isn't that crazy? So 8 hours you're there, and then how long is the scene probably in the movie? Like,
It's probably like 4 minutes.
That's crazy.
It's 4 minutes of the movie, but I get to be the comic relief. My character is very... I mean, you can tell that she's clearly intelligent, and she's just doing this because she's trying to make her money, you know? But she's playing like the, I don't know. I don't know. What are you going to give me if I tell you? I can't remember. Maybe that money will help me remember, you know? So it's, like, really funny. And the brother character who plays Jean-Claude's brother is, like, a Catholic school teacher who's, like, super religious, has never been to... You know, this is a brothel, basically, where this scene takes place, where rich men come and they sit down with these girls and you take them up to the rooms and do sexual things with them. And, you know, this man has never been near a stripper or a prostitute in his entire life, and he's super uncomfortable and never says a word the entire time while I'm, like, sticking my tits in his face. So it's pretty funny.
It's cool, man. How long have you been acting for?
Gosh, since I was like 2, probably.
Really? You were a kid actor? Me too.
Oh, we have that in common. Yeah, my mom got me an agent, I would say, when I was like 2 or 3, probably.
Move the mic a little closer if you're going to sit back. Okay. You're a little soft-spoken.
Really? I feel like I'm loud. I feel like I'm really loud.
Compared to Paul last week, you're good, man. Okay. You're good.
Yeah, my mom got me an agent when I was like probably 2 or 3, and I did commercials, and then I did a lot of theater stuff, and I grew up dancing, like hardcore dancing, like what's on Dance Moms now, like going to competitions every weekend, and like training for 8 hours a day after school when I'm like 12, which is ridiculous, but I loved it, and I wanted to do it. So, yeah, and then I... started doing a lot of theater. I graduated high school early when I was 17, moved to LA with my mom, and I started doing like theater tours around that time, and I did that all through my 20s, dancing, singing, and acting, and then I started getting a lot of TV and film work and doing that. So, I mean, I've been lucky. No one gives a shit who I am. I mean, no one cares. No one knows who I am. But I've been in stuff. You look at my IMDb page and you're like, oh, really? I didn't know that about you.
That's
and I'm
so
like,
cool.
yeah, because I'm not an asshole that's like, hey, guys, guess what? I was in movies. You know, it's appropriate for this podcast, but it's not, you know, it's not necessarily appropriate to just walk up to someone and
yeah, no, it's perfect for this podcast, man, because everybody wants to hear about it, but also it's so cool that you don't gloat about it, because a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that I love to do, and I've been lucky enough that I've gotten paid well to do it for most of my adult life, and I don't have to deal with, you know, being super cool and being famous and dealing with all that stuff, you know. I'm in SAG, I get paid well. Being in China for a month is a good payday, you know. It's good, and I'm happy to do it. And now, you know, I don't go to auditions all the time. I'm lucky enough that I have producers and directors that have worked with me that will just call me. That's what happened with this movie in China. This director that I had worked with previously on another film with Jean-Claude Van Damme
Weird.
called me and said, I can't imagine anyone else playing this part. I need it to be you. And I sent in a video so that the producers could approve me, and they did, and that was it, you know?
That's so cool. Excuse me. What was like your first, I guess your first gig, your first acting gig?
Commercial. I think it was one for the armed services.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I played a little girl in the family, and it was like this whole montage of just like family stuff. Like, we support the families and the armed services. And I'm doing like all these like little kid things. And I actually got my fingers squashed in the trunk because I didn't move them fast enough. And the lady that was playing the mom smashed the trunk on my fingers. And it's hilarious because in the final commercial, which my mom still has on like VHS, and it's hilarious, in the actual commercial, when they close the trunk, you see me go and move my hands back. Like, I know that they might get squashed again. And yeah, it's pretty funny. So.
That is funny. Did you ever have, like, man, how do I explain it? I want to see if I'm the only asshole that did this. Did you ever, like, storm out on a shoot or get mad at something for the way that they were setting up or making you do?
No, generally, inside, I'm a very anxious and awkward person. So usually when I'm on a set, particularly if it's with celebrities, that I feel like inside I'm like, why am I here? Why did they even hire me to do this? How am I here right now? And I'm like generally just very grateful to be there and like, okay, you want me to do that? That's great. Okay, great. I mean, I could tell a funny story that I'm actually going to tell on Saturday at Scottsdale.
Then don't tell it here. Nah, you guys got to go see it. You guys got to go see the show.
Well, that's the one this Saturday.
Oh, then you can tell it. Yeah, you can tell it.
Okay, so I'll tell it. So, I got hired to do a kind of a weird job for The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
I got hired to be the model for the statues that were in his palace that were sex statues. So my agent calls me and she's like, okay, we submitted you for this job and you got like picked in the top 20 girls. So I just want to make sure you're okay with this. They're going to 3D scan your body with Sacha Baron Cohen in sex poses, I guess, and then they're going to make statues out of that for the movie. But it's a statue. No one will know who you are. You just have to be topless, like in a nude G-string. It's fine. Like, no one will know who you are. You're a statue. I'm like, okay, fine. It paid really well because whenever you have to do topless stuff in SAG, it pays really, really well. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm only in the top 20 anyway. It doesn't matter. So she's like, okay, send me like a candid picture in a bikini. So I send it. And she calls me a few days later and she's like, okay, you're down to the top 3 girls. You're their top 3 choices. Sasha needs you to send him a topless picture.
Of course he
does. So I'm like...
They said that to all 20 girls, by the way.
I'm like...
You're in the top 3?
I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I took it. And I'm like, wow, I'm sending a topless picture to Sacha Baron Cohen right now.
Now you know what a guy feels like whenever they text a girl anything. It's always a dick pic.
So I'm like, okay, whatever. So then she calls me and she's like, oh yeah, they picked you. I'm like, okay, well maybe the other 20 girls didn't send the nude picture because she did make sure she said to me like, oh, Sasha says don't worry, no one else will see it besides him and Larry Charles. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Did you have to send it via text or was it email?
Email. I emailed it to my agent and then my agent emailed it to them. Yes. So, and I mean, I trusted my agent, but then, okay, so I get the job and directly after that, one of my friends says to me, aren't you really kind of worried that, all of his movies are prank movies. You're going to get in this room and you're going to be in a nude G-string and be topless and he's going to come in character and embarrass you and you're never going to get an acting job again. And me being like anxious and awkward inside, I'm like, oh my God, what if that's happening? And I'm like too scared to ask my agent. Like, are you signing me up to be humiliated? Like, do you just want to get rid of me as a client? So you're like, humiliate her, get rid of her. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like on the way there on the day and I'm like so nervous and anxious and I like think about calling to like cancel like multiple times, which you don't do if you're fucking going to do a movie with Sacha Baron Cohen, like even though I'm only a statue and I'm going to work with him all day today. So I go and I get to the building. It was where their production office was and it was one of those buildings in New York that's like a high-rise, very high level of fence where you go to the security and you have to have your picture taken and get a name badge and like you have to give them your ID to even get upstairs. So I'm upstairs and I'm early and I'm so nervous to walk into this place because I feel like I'm going to be ambushed by Sacha Baron Cohen. Like I'm so anxious. So I'm standing outside the door for like 5 minutes and like walking in circles and like I go to grab the doorknob and I'm like, I'll just wait until actually the time I have to be here. Okay, that's fine. And then I realize these buildings with such high levels of security, like they have a camera, they know celebrities are inside this door, and there's this fucking weird ass girl outside walking in circles. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go in. So I go in, and Anna Faris is inside. And she's like, hi, you must be Terese. I'm Anna. It's so nice to meet you. And I'm like, what is happening? And she's like, I just had the most amazing bagel. Do you want one? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Like, feeling super weird.
Let's be real. Like, it's a New York bagel. It probably was amazing.
Exactly. And she's like, no, I insist. I'm making you one. So Anna Faris is making me a bagel. And then she's like, they're doing my hair and makeup test. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm just sitting with Anna Faris while she's getting her hair and makeup tests done. And she's talking to me like I'm her friend. Like, she's like, oh, my husband, like, whatever. And I'm like, I know your husband's Chris Pratt, and I'm in love with him.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm in love with your husband. No, I'm not. But, I mean, it was just really funny. And then finally it was time for me to, like, so they give me my wardrobe, which is like this tiny little nude G-string. I put a robe on, and Sasha comes in, and all he says to me is, hi, Terese, I'm Sasha. It's nice to meet you. The entire time. And then for the next 3 hours, me and Sacha Baron Cohen are doing sex poses and getting our bodies 3D scanned, and he says no words to me while his, like, dick is in my face, basically. I mean, he's wearing, like, nude briefs, but I'm kneeling in front of him.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's not saying anything
he never
to make it
says
more
a word to me. He didn't even say bye. I felt like I just had the worst one night stand ever, and he like escaped in the middle of the night and like didn't even say bye. I'm like, thanks. I guess you didn't enjoy my sex poses. Like, whatever, Sasha. But Larry Charles was great. He communicated with me most of the time, and because I was a dancer, I came up with a lot of the poses, and they were really appreciative of that. So it was cool, but yeah, I mean, that's all he said to me the whole time.
That's so
just the
weird.
one thing. And I was just like, okay.
Did you say anything to him?
Not really. I mean, unless it was related to what we were doing, like, oh, this would be good, and like maybe if you stand here, and he'd just like nod his head and do it. Like, you could tell he was super uncomfortable in this situation.
Weird.
Like, didn't want to be doing this, but wanted the statues. So the movie came out. I didn't see it, and then I finally went to see it, and saw the statues, and I was like, that is definitely me. Like, it's my face on this statue, and it's my body. My mom was like, oh, yeah, that's you. Like, your agent lied to you. You can totally tell it's you. They made a statue out of you. Yeah, because it's like this 3D scanner camera that goes all the way around your body and gets, like, everything. It's me. That's what the statue is. So I guess there's real statues out there in the world. I want one.
Yeah.
I want to put it in my house. And, like, then I can be, like, a real housewife and be like, welcome to my house. This is just me and Sasha
Yeah.
doing sex stuff.
That's so cool,
awesome.
though. That's fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
3 hours, though, of having to do that. How many people were behind the cameras?
Well, it was a closed set because I was naked,
Okay.
basically, and Sasha was too. I'm sure it was more closed for him. I'm sure they probably didn't care as much about me. Yeah, it was like the DP and Larry Charles and Sasha, and then Anna was there for a while. She would go in and out, but I think she was trying to be really supportive because I think she knew it was like a hard thing to do, and she knew what it was. And she's just the sweetest. I mean, she is like, if I had to have a fairy godmother, I would choose Anna Faris. Like, she's tiny, 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 like half the height of me, and like 1/3 the size of me around, like teeny, 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 tiny, and she's adorable and sweet and amazing and like the best celebrity experience that I've had.
That's
so.
cool. She's
Yeah.
the best one of all of
Oh
them?
yeah,
She's
for
your
sure.
favorite.
She was the best. She was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody likes her, too, generally. She's
think
just
so.
a cool kind of person
Yeah, she's
on
really
camera.
cool. She's really cool.
Let's see. I want to go back to China. So you're a month because I've never been outside of the country besides Canada. I've never been off the continent, I should say that. So when I hear about stuff that's outside of the continent, I'm like, dude, what was it like? What happened? You spent a month there
Yeah.
living. Did
Mm-hmm.
you go with anybody?
No, I mean, it was an interesting thing because beforehand I had to get a visa, and they were like, oh, China halts movie productions if you say it's for a movie, so we're saying you're working as a IT consultant for this company. I'm like, this is sketch. I'm going to a communist country.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And
I
you're-
shouldn't be saying this, but whatever.
You touch down, your feet are on ground, and
I'm
the first
like-
thing you do is lie.
I know. I'm like, okay. So I like asked my dad about it, and my stepdad is the president of Anchor Bay Films, and he is like just a huge executive, and he's like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just not do the movie. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm doing the movie. Like, no, I'm doing the movie. So he like emails his producer friend that's friends with the director that's directing the movie to make sure that I'm not going to like get kidnapped in China. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. I am 28 years old and my stepdaddy is emailing another producer that has nothing to do with this movie to email the director to make sure I'm going to be safe. Thank you. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of it. But, and as soon as I get there, so obviously China's known for bad driving, and it's literally because they have no rules on the road. They just are like, do what you want, but maybe stay in this lane if you're doing this. Like,
are they left side drivers? Are the roads different like it is in
No, it's the
in England
same
or
as
something?
it is here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same as it is here. So I get picked up from the airport, and my driver doesn't speak any English. They were on overnight shoots by the time I got there. So my driver doesn't speak any English because the producer was going to come pick me up, but he was like, oh, we just did an overnight. And I was like, whatever, she'll be fine. I'll just apologize later. And we ended up becoming really close friends. So it was funny at that point. But get picked up by the driver who doesn't speak English. So I'm like, is this even the right person? Like, he just has a sign with my name and he doesn't communicate. And I'm like, can I smoke cigarettes here? Like, what's happening? By the way, everyone in China smokes cigarettes. So we get in the car and we're at like a toll booth. And they must not have regulations on how big like a truck with a trailer can be there, because they have these huge trucks that stuff is just piled on, covered with a tarp. And this truck at the toll stop starts backing up and backs into the car that I'm in and pushes us. And we're on like a curve that's over a hill. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I just landed in China and I'm going to die.
First time in China?
Yes. I thought I was going to die. So it like
God.
pushes us back, and then I have to deal with, I have no idea what's going on because my driver doesn't speak English. The driver of the truck doesn't speak English. So I'm just sitting there on the side of the road like, cool times. And they had to have like another driver come pick me up. But I mean, China is amazing. It was probably the best experience of my life. Just everything. I mean, I got to experience so many things. We kind of filmed in a jungle town. The main city near it is called Guangzhou. And we would go into the city on our days off, and we would rent these condos that are like dirt cheap, amazing condos. You could rent for the night for like 300 R&D, which is like, their money is like 6 to 1 of our money. So like cigarettes were like $1. They'd be like 10 R&D, but that's like $1 like US money. So this was like dirt cheap. Everything was so cheap. I felt so rich in China. And I had per diem every day, and I'd just be like, whatever, let's just like spend it up. I'm super rich here, you know? So yeah, it was just like the culture there is amazing, and there's so many people and there's so many things to see. The food was, oh my God, I love Chinese food, and real Chinese food is the greatest thing you'll ever
They
experience.
don't call it Chinese food, do they?
Oh my gosh, we went shopping in a grocery store, me and one of the producers, and there was a section that literally said Chinese food. And we took a picture of it because we thought it was so ironic. Yeah, it was like Chinese.
It was like orange chicken.
I don't know. I don't remember like actually going up, but I took a picture of it because I'm like, that's ridiculous.
That's funny.
The thing about China is that they think English stuff and Americans are so cool. So all of their stores have like English words in the titles of like their stores and businesses, but they make no sense in English. So they'd be like, best carpets, and it's like an electronics store. Like, they don't know what the English words mean, but they think
so cute.
they're like, oh, it's an English word, so it's cool, you know? And they'll copy like American brands. Like, I'm looking at a shock top box. I know this is an example. I should have like looked at my pictures and prepared for this better so I could tell you actual business names. But it'd be like shock top America, and then it'd be like a store that sells washers and dryers. Like, it would just be like this crazy stuff. And we stayed at this amazing, I had a condo for most of the time I was there, but for part of the time I stayed at this amazing like resort hotel, and everyone was so like accommodating, and all of their hotels are owned by government officials. So the president of the hotel was a government official, and they had this presentation for me and one of the producers where they like presented their whole staff and they had like choreographed numbers, and we were sitting like at a table and we had nameplates in front of us and it said like Terese and then Mr. JJ, because that's what they called him. His name's JJ, and they'd be like, Mr. JJ, we want to help you do this, like whatever. So we're sitting there, we're like, what is happening? And then they're like, we want to thank our special guest, Mr. JJ, and the famous Hollywood actress, Terese. And I'm like, I'm not a famous, that's the only time that I'll ever be called a famous Hollywood actress in my whole entire life.
It felt good though, right?
It totally did. And then all these people, like every single day, because they don't see people that look like me. Like obviously you can't see me on the podcast, but like I'm tall, I have huge boobs, I have, you know, I look like an American white girl.
Yeah.
They don't see that, and they don't see boobs there. So, like, everyone just, like, stares, and they don't hide it. They just, like, stare at you as you're walking around, and I would take pictures with, like, at least 20 or 30 people a day. And it was, like, ridiculous. So all these people want to take pictures of me, and I got invited by the president of the hotel to a government-only tea house, where they had like a tea presentation, and then they like give you tea, and then they give you fancy cigarettes, and I got to sit around with like all the government people and this producer, and we're just like smoking cigarettes and drinking the fancy tea, and I'm like, this is interesting. I didn't know this was gonna happen to me today. And they would have dinners for us on like these tables that had rotating like dishes on them, so like it'd go around the table, and the president of the hotel, sorry, the mic, is like serving me food, and they do toasts with wine. Like they never fill up their wine glass all the way. They only fill up like a shot glass amount, and then you do toast with that, and you do like 50 shots of wine. So by the end, you're wasted. They're wasted, and then they go do karaoke, and it's the president of the hotel along with like bus boys and like just like the staff. They have the best morale. The president of the hotel hangs out with his staff and gets drunk and does karaoke.
That's cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow, but do they sing Chinese songs?
They do, but there was some American ones. And
Did
there
you do it?
Yeah, totally. I have a video of me dancing to Gangnam Style because they're obsessed with Gangnam Style. With like doing the Gangnam Style dance with like these two Asian boys that are just like, oh my god, this girl! Like they were all in love with me. It was hilarious.
How long ago was this? When
it was there? About. I went there. Let's see, May. I was there for
2014?
May. Yeah, 2014. So almost a year from now.
Is it pretty Americanized? Or just in certain spots where they kind of put you guys?
Just in certain spots. It's not. I mean, the hotel that we had, you know, dealings with where all this stuff happened, it's a resort hotel. It's called the Fontainebleau. So they're used to having American tourists there. But, like, you go into the city and people don't speak English. You have to use sign language. And some of our crew didn't speak English. We had to use sign language. And the Chinese language is set up how you hear Chinese people talk when they speak English. Like, you go here, this go here. So that's, like, how you start talking, because that's the only way that they're going to understand you. Is, like, if you say, you go here, this go here. So we all started talking like that to each other. Because we were so used to doing it, but that's how you communicate.
Did you do that thing where you just start talking louder and slower to everyone, hoping they understand?
I was like, this is good. Thank you.
Like, I don't speak the language, dude.
I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Doesn't matter how slow and loud you say it. I don't speak it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few people that like knew Chinese and Japanese and English, and they would translate if we needed it. But like, for example, when I was doing the scene where I had to strip off my clothes, there was this sweet wardrobe girl who we decided was a lesbian and was in love with me. This was one of the jokes that we had, because she followed me around like a little puppy dog. And she was adorable, though. She was the cutest. I loved her so much. I think her name, they all picked American names, so none of these were their real names. But I think her name was Jenny. She picked Jenny.
It's pretty
as
American.
Her name.
Yeah.
So she would come after every take that I took my dress off and try to dress me again. And that's weird for me, first of all, because I'm not like someone that's like, oh, I need someone to dress me. Like, that's
You're an
weird.
adult.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure like Jean-Claude, for example, probably likes having people put stuff on him, and he doesn't want to, you know, celebrities are allowed to have that, you know. I would never be able to deal with it at all. But I was just like, and then the zipper on my dress started getting weak because I was taking it on and off, and I just like was trying to explain to her, don't help me. I'll do it. I'll let you know if I need help. But she just like kept doing it. So finally I had to have a translator tell her. And she was like so upset. Like she thought she did something wrong. And I was like, no, you're so helpful. The dress is just, it's breaking. And it's weird to have you dress me. And then after that happened, one time I'm putting my dress back on after she's staying very close to make sure I don't need help. You know, she's watching me. She's doing her job. She's doing good. I feel someone behind me holding on to me and pulling up my dress and starting to zip my dress. And I turn around and it's fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I'm like, Jean-Claude Van Damme is putting my dress on me right now. What is happening? What is happening? And then we had a joke for the rest of the time that, like, Jean-Claude's fetish is not taking girls' clothes off. He likes clothes. Like, I'm going to dress her so hard later. Totally going to dress her so hard later.
Is that the coolest place you've gone for a shoot?
I went to Romania.
Oh, what's
which was
that
pretty
like?
Cool. I was there for a short amount of time. I think I was only there for like 5 days. But
what was it for?
It was for another movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Apparently that's my soulmate in movies. It was for, another movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme called Six Bullets. That is, I mean, you can find it. It's out. I play a newscaster. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect going there, and I kind of tried to go walk around by myself, and I guess that wasn't safe, but nothing happened to me. So, but I did meet some, like, Romanian street kids that kind of spoke English. I'd gone to McDonald's because all of their food is disgusting. All of it. All of it's disgusting. I couldn't eat it, so I went to McDonald's. And I was trying to walk back to my hotel, and they stopped me, and they started talking to me, and, like, in the beginning, I'm, like, it was the main road, but I was, like, on the side of the road with, like, my purse away from them. I'm like, are these people going to try and, like, steal my money and rape me? Like, what's happening? And so they go on, and we're having a conversation. I end up talking to them for, like, 4 hours because they just want to talk about what's America like and practice their English, and they're really cool people. I mean, they're not scary at all. And then finally one of them goes, do you want to smoke some hashish? And I'm like, I would. I would. So this kid brings hash, and we go into a park to smoke it, and it's only like 4 of us, and the 3 other ones are guys, and I'm like, this is the part where I get raped. I'm so stupid. They reeled me in with the nice conversation. Now I'm going to get raped and die in Romania. See how anxious I am? I always think I'm going to get raped and die. So I'm like, okay, this is the time to leave. And, like, I can see that they're getting really high. So I'm just like, okay, guys, I got to go. I have to work tomorrow. I'm just going to, like, go. Bye. And the kid that brought the hash is following me. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to get raped. Yeah. So I'm, like, walking down the street. And he's like, where are your hotel? And I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm going to get there. It's fine. Please go away. Please go away, you know. And then he is like, no, not safe. And I was like, okay. And he flags down a taxi, talks to the driver in Romanian, and pays for the taxi for me to go back. And I was like, now I feel so bad for feeling like they were going to...
Hey, come on now. You're in a new country.
But it was a good experience. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. What have you been in that I guess people would know of?
I was on Pan Am. That was on ABC for a while about the flight attendants. I played a flight attendant on a few episodes of that.
I knew that show wouldn't last.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of know the ins and outs of it, but a lot of it was that they were trying to film everything in New York and make New York look like the different places they were traveling to, and that's really hard to do. It's easier to do on a soundstage in Los Angeles, and they were trying to keep it New York-based, so that was one of the problems because it was really expensive. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I got to work with Margot Robbie, who played...
she's awesome.
She's freaking awesome.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
now she's in Focus with Will Smith.
She's amazing. And Christina Ricci. They're both amazing.
Oh, no way.
I mean, my part was, like, small. It was just a few lines, like, here and there, you know. But it was a cool experience, and... The flight attendant outfit is probably my favorite wardrobe I've ever had.
Did you keep it?
No, you can't.
They were like steal vintage. That shit, Terese.
They were vintage Pan Am flight attendant. Like the hats were worth like $20,000 each. They wouldn't let us have the hats until we were ready to go to set.
Oh,
they would do our hair and makeup, and then they would put it on our head and then remove it from our heads as soon as we got off set.
Wow.
Because they were worth so much money.
They really tried to keep it legit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was really interesting. I don't know. As far as I was on an MTV show that, I don't know, no one watches MTV.
What is it?
It's called I
Teen
Just
Mom.
Want My Pants Back. No, not Teen Mom. It's called I Just Want My Pants Back. It was based on a book. And it's like this kid that has a one-night stand and this girl steals his pants. And then it's basically about his life being a hipster in Brooklyn, trying to get his pants back from this girl that he likes. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
can't believe that
But
didn't take off.
I played a pregnant
Teen
lady.
Mom!
I played a pregnant lady who had a son that was auditioning. This kid's job is like at a casting office, and the casting director at the casting office was Chris Parnell. So I played this pregnant mom that comes in, and Chris Parnell is like obsessed with me, and he's talking about how he's gonna have sex with me and how having sex with pregnant women is the best thing. And he's like totally improving all of it, like, and he's like, I'm totally gonna hump that bump. Oh yeah, the best part is you don't even have to use a condom, like, and it's just like all this like interaction. It's pretty cool.
That's fun.
And Chris Parnell is awesome. So.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I want to ask you this, and I hope this doesn't offend you in any way, but your dad being in the business, did that help at all in anything that you were trying to do within the business?
Well, because he's my stepdad, I mean, he and my mom didn't get married until I was in my 20s already. I mean, I'm 29 now. I want to say they got married when I was like 20 or 21. And a lot of times he had said stuff to me like, you know, if you want me to like make introductions or help you with anything. And I was kind of always of the idea that I wanted to do it on my own, and I didn't want anyone to think that they had to give me a part because of who my stepdad was. But I learned a lot from him. I mean, he didn't really. I've made some connections through him, but I still had to audition for every part that I got, and I still had to earn it in my own right, and I never felt like I was just getting things because of who he was.
That's cool.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess it helps. I mean, the more connections you can have, because I got over 25, and I was like, fuck this, give me all the connections you got. And then he wasn't so into doing it. He was like, yeah, you're fine, whatever. Also because my mom's slightly crazy. So... I mean, no, he didn't really help me, but he's a very smart man. I respect. I mean, he's amazing. He does all the Weinstein's movies. He was mentioned in Christopher Waltz's Oscar speech when he won for Django Unchained. Like, he's an amazing businessman. He's great at his job, and I'm lucky to have him for a stepdad. But no, I don't think it really helps me that much.
That's pretty cool. Let's talk about this show coming up this Saturday. So we're doing this on Thursday night. You have a show literally this Saturday.
Yes.
So when people listen to this, it's yesterday, you missed it. But you also have one coming up on, what did you say, it's the 21st, I think?
Yes, the 21st.
So what's that show?
It's the You've Got the Goods show. Because I've never really done stand-up before. It's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. Like, when I lived in LA, I was always friends with comics, and that's, like, my crowd. I'm a weirdo, and that's who I like to hang out with, and I like to laugh, and I like to watch stand-up. It's something that always terrified me for a really long time, because even though I've done every other medium of performing, I think that's the hardest thing, because you're bearing your soul, basically. And also, I didn't want to start doing it here because my boyfriend, Eric, who I know you wanted to talk about what it's like to date a comedian as well.
Yeah, we're getting to it.
So my boyfriend does it, and it was something where I didn't want him to feel like, and I didn't want all of our friends, because I feel like in the comedy scene, I've never really been like Eric's girlfriend. Like, yeah, obviously I'm Eric's girlfriend, but I'm friends with everyone. You see us at shows, we barely hang out when we're at shows together. I'm hanging out with all my friends who are his friends that I've now made my friends. Yes. And he's hanging out with other people, and we meet up and we're like, oh great, I love you, okay, bye. Like, that's how we are. So I mean, I didn't want everyone to be like, oh, you're just doing it because your boyfriend and all your friends do it. You know, it was something that I wanted to do for a long time, and I think I was just too scared. But now that I know all of you so well, and I kind of got over it. And I think also dating Eric kind of put me more in touch with being myself. It was like the first person that I've been with that I can completely be myself and be silly and weird, and he doesn't think it's weird, and he thinks I'm funny.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And, you know, we have an awesome relationship, so I kind of like started being comfortable with who I am, and with that came like, okay, yeah, I want to talk about it. I think it'll be therapeutic for me. And I think, I talked to him. I started kind of dropping the idea by saying, like, hey, if I did stand up, this is what I would talk about. And I would, like, give him an idea for what I would talk about. And he finally just said, Terese, you have legitimate things to say that are hilarious, that aren't like anything anyone else is doing. And I know you don't just want to do it because of me. And I know you're not trying to, like, take my spotlight. You need to just do it. So I had planned on asking Michael Palladino to be on this You've Got the Good show, which is basically a show where you have 3 new comics and 3 experienced comics that are judging. Oh, sorry, 4. 4 and 4.
No, 4 and 3.
4 and 3.
Yeah,
okay.
4 new comics.
4 new, 3. Okay. Good thing I know about the show that I'm on, right? I'm off to a great start.
The only reason really I know, well, I went to one of them, but Centennial and I were talking last night about that particular, not your show, but just the particular show in general last night.
So yeah, I wanted that to be my first show, and I planned on reaching out to Michael Palladino once I decided that I was going to do it, and I kind of had some stuff written. I planned on asking him if that could be my first show because I figured, that's a place that I am all the time. It's where all my friends are. And I've seen all of you guys bomb 50,000 times. I'm not afraid of bombing. No, I'm not afraid. Like, I know it's going to feel shitty, and I'm probably going to bomb, and it's going to be fine. But
you want a secret? Pack it with all your friends. You won't bomb. They will fake laugh their ass off.
But I don't want that either, But, I mean, people have been really supportive. Like, everyone's like, oh, I'll be there. I want to go. And I'm like, maybe you shouldn't say it, but it's fine. So he actually reached out to me first and had asked me to do the show that's this Saturday because it's talking about celebrities. And he said, hey, since you've been in a lot of movies, like, don't feel any pressure. You don't have to do it, but I'd really love for you to tell some of your stories. And so I was like, I was actually going to reach out to you. I really want to do the You've Got the Good show. I want to do stand-up. And, I kind of explained to him what some of my hesitations were and that, I still wanted to do it, though. And he was like, look, Terese, I wouldn't ask you to be on a show if I didn't think you were funny and you could do it. So now I'm doing both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You excited?
I am excited.
It's cool that you're doing, like, a story kind of thing first.
Yeah, because then I thought about it. It's the same venues. It's like then I can see what it looks like from the stage. I can get, like, my jitters out. And then when I actually do a set. I mean, I'm trying to write my stories into, like, something.
Is that what you, and it's such a stupid question because have you ever done stand-up at all?
No.
Okay, so.
But I've been around it enough.
Right.
I think I know.
No, I know. And you are a little bit older, so you're not a kid starting out. You're an adult that's been through things and you've lived.
Yeah. And I've been on plenty of stages. So that part doesn't really scare me. I just want to make sure it's written well and it's funny,
I think like what you're putting together, I guess. My first question was, do you want to be like a storytelling kind of comedian, or are you gonna be jokey? And it's such a stupid question for me to even ask because you've never done it before. You're gonna go up that first time and do it, and whatever works it doesn't matter. If you continue to do it, it's just gonna progress to whoever you want to be. But for now, before you even start, what kind of stuff do you want to do?
I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have written has to do with the fact that I'm super anxious and awkward inside, and I don't necessarily portray that on the outside because I'm very outgoing. I'm an actress. I cover it up really well. So a lot of it has to do with that. And, like, I don't want to be an anxious, awkward person. So I go to great lengths a lot of times to not appear anxious and awkward, even though I am, and to, like, try and fix it. So a lot of it, I guess, is based around that. And a lot of it is, like, I don't know, girls and guys stuff, but just how funny it is, how different girls and guys are, and, like, the different dumb things girls do. It's so annoying and weird and, but a lot of it, most of it's, like, how I'm anxious and awkward because, like, okay, I'll get, like, drunk or I'll get high and I'm standing there and I'm like, how do I be a person? And then I realize that's how I am in life, like when I'm sober. Like, I don't know how a person is. I'm just copying what everyone else is doing,
Yeah.
So a lot of it is based around that, but a lot of it is stories. I mean, I have a lot of stories. I've lived quite a life traveling all around and doing stuff, but I want it to be real. I want it to be real stuff that people can relate to and understand and make it funny. So hopefully that will come across. Like,
I'm sure it will. I'm going to go. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited.
Are you piecing everything together?
Yeah. I've written some things and told some people my ideas, and I had one person, I was telling them a story, and that wasn't under the pretense that I was going to do it as stand-up eventually, because I was just kind of testing things to other comics. And I told a story about when I was a kid, and that comic said to me, "Oh, do you mind if I take that and use it for my stand-up?" And I was like, no, that's my life.
Yeah.
First of all, you're not a 5-year-old girl. You were never a 5-year-old girl because you're a man. But no, I might use that eventually. So,
you know what? A headliner said that to me once. I was telling him a story that another comic had told me, but it was just in conversation. And I was like, oh, this other comic, this happened to him. And he was like, dude, do you do that? Do you tell it on stage? I was like, no, it's not my story.
Yeah.
He goes, dude, just ask if you can take it. I'm like, it's not my story.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm
this
not
is not your
that.
story. This is a personal story, but it's not your story.
God, yeah. Some people think crazy, but
yeah.
But you date a comic.
Yes.
And first of all, you know, we've had other people come here that have dated comics, but they're comics also.
Yeah.
So before, you haven't done any comedy, anything. What is it? Because I say it on here, it's almost impossible to date a comedian.
It's not if you know how to do it. Actually, if you're just like...
So how do you do it from this side? Before you speak, this is why I say it's very difficult. The schedule is almost impossible to deal with. When you're somebody that's not in comedy or in the entertainment business, you pretty much have an 8 to 5 job. And that's when comics aren't at their job. We're at home writing or we're doing some sort of work, but at night we're gone. So it's like, oh, we have an hour to hang out together, and then you're out. So this relationship will never work. But you successful have done it with Eric.
For almost a year now.
Yeah. But so how? Like, I mean, for you say it can work.
Well, I think also I have a little bit of a different perspective coming from an entertainment background and being a performer. I mean, I understand being passionate about something and wanting to do that. And when I met Eric, it was like, this man is passionate about this. He loves it and he's good at it. And he has like an X factor that regardless of how good or bad his sets are, he has something that draws you to him. So once he works out all the kinks, he has the potential to like be something, you know? And I was really like impressed with that. But I mean, going back, like I've always hung out with comics. When I lived in New York, my friends were comics. When I lived in LA, my friends were comics. I was going to comedy shows all the time. I mean, I guess I was like a chuckle fucker, kind of, but not really. I mean, I'm an actress though, and I've been in stuff, and I would work with these people, and then I would go see their shows. Like, it just kind of started like that. And I didn't fuck all of them, but I kind of felt like one of those girls that follows them around and like, but I was actually friends with them. Like, we were friends, like we were guys together, you know, like we would sit there and talk about the girls that they were, you know, that's how it was. So when I moved back to... You were just a
really good-looking one of the guys.
Well, thank you, but I don't know. Probably like the weirdo that they wanted to get rid of. I don't know. So when I moved back to Phoenix, I didn't even realize, and it sounds really ignorant, but I didn't even realize that people did comedy places other than LA. So it was like when I found that out, I was like, hallelujah, like these are my people. Like, let's get this going, you know? Like, this is my shit. So I ended up at Copper Blues one night with my friend, and that's where I met Eric. I met Eric Baez. I met Matt Stores, and we just like hung out with them all night, and then they started inviting us to do stuff. And me and Eric started hanging out, and, like, obviously we became boyfriend and girlfriend and everything, but I don't know. It was just, it works because I want to go to comedy shows every night. Like, if I have the choice of, like, stay home and watch TV, I mean, my two main choices would be either stay home and watch Netflix or go to a comedy show. I'm not going to choose going to a club or, like, putting on heels and a dress and being like, yeah, oh my God, like, this is my song, like, whatever. Like, that's not me. I'm a girl that wants to go to comedy shows.
Thank God, because that voice on you is horrible.
This voice is, like, the basic bitch voice. Like, have you had a pumpkin spice latte? It will change your life. So first of all, I understand the entertainment industry. I've been friends with comics before, and I love going to comedy shows. But basically, if you want to date a comedian, you can choose one of two paths. You can either go to shows, learn to love comedy if you don't already, learn about it, know what you're going into, you know. Don't cause drama because your boyfriend is there to do his thing. That's his place. You do not cause drama. Do not. I've seen girls do it, and it makes me want to...
It's the worst.
Kill them. I'm like, no, this is not your place. You're not a girl right now. You know, make friends with everyone. Don't get jealous if a girl talks to him. If you're secure in your relationship, you're not going to care who. Well,
that's got to be number one over anything. You have to be secure in your relationship.
You have to be secure in your relationship. And if you cause drama and you're like, oh my God, that girl, you were totally talking to that girl. I can't believe you. You're going to be gone in like a day because they don't put up with it.
Right.
You guys have.
I was just going to say that. I mean, the second a girl causes drama, there's a reason why you never see it again from that girl because she's never around again. That relationship ends that second.
Exactly.
Over, done.
So you have to go and be supportive and try to learn about, you know, I kind of already knew about comedy, but you need to have a basis and like know about comedy. If you're going to be at comedy shows every night, you can't like, and you can't be dumb. You can't, you know, not know what jokes mean. I've seen girls like that, like, what did that mean? Why is everyone laughing? And I'm like, are you serious right now? So you have to, like, not cause drama. And then the other choice you have, if you don't want to go to a comedy show every night or you think you can't go and not be jealous, you just don't go. And you hang out with them when they have time. And you don't give them shit for it.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
Those are the hard ones to handle.
You know? It's those two choices. Like, and I don't know, like, in the beginning of me and Eric's relationship, there were, like, maybe 2 times that he was like, oh, I'm just going to go do this show, like, by myself. But then it got to the point where... like, Eric's my best friend. We talk about everything. I know what he's going to do before he goes on stage. He runs jokes by me. We talk about everything, and he's my best friend. I'm going to want to hang out with him. He wants to hang out with me. And now everyone in the Phoenix comedy scene is my friends, too. So it's like, you can't tell me I can't go hang out with my friends. Like, those are my friends, you know. I'd recently moved back to Phoenix and then went to China and did the movie and then came back and met Eric immediately. So I didn't really have any friends. Like, you guys are my friends now. I was new to
We're
Phoenix
so happy
again,
to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be part of the group.
And yeah, but the cool thing is, too, like, you show up and it isn't like, oh, great, Eric's with his girlfriend again. It literally is what you said at the beginning, where it's like, Eric does his thing, I do mine. We all bullshit, and then you and Eric meet up in the middle. Hey, what's up? You having fun? All right, cool.
Exactly.
Like, whatever. Because it is like that. You're a friend of everybody, which is the best. Because that makes it doesn't make it weird.
Yeah.
It's always fun. You're one of the coolest people fucking ever.
Thank you.
And I hope that you smash Saturday.
Ooh,
we got like 5 minutes left, but I want to talk about this. You and Eric took like a month to go do something. Can you talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? We don't have to.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. So Eric's sister, I don't know how much I should talk about this.
All right, then let's not talk about it.
No, I'll talk about it a little bit. Me and Eric went up. I just won't give any details. Me and Eric went up to Northern California to trim marijuana for a month. And we lived on a mountain for a month. We lived in a tent.
No, like a legit tent?
A tent. It was an 8-person tent.
Like you're sleeping on rocks.
We had an air mattress.
Oh, okay, slummers.
We had an air mattress. But, okay, so up on this mountain where we were, there was no cell phone reception. There was no shower. There was no bathroom. There was...
First of all, you're explaining to somebody that fucking hates camping at all. So this immediately sounds like the worst day of my life.
I had never camped before.
And you're like, let's go for a month.
I did really good. I'm proud of myself. I only cried like 4 times. So
oh my God,
it was
in the
fine.
first hour.
Yeah. I was there for 6 weeks. So it was a really good test of me and Eric's relationship because we were in a tent together for 6 weeks and we didn't even fight like at all.
How long had you been dating at that point?
Oh, let's see.
Counting on the
like
hand.
6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we moved in together before. We moved in together after like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we
had lived together. But we hadn't spent 24 hours a day together in a tent for 6 weeks. So, you know, it was just a lot of, I mean, more than 5 minutes worth of talking about it because it was an interesting experience with the people and everything. But, I mean, living in a tent, I didn't take a shower for a month. I went down off the hill once.
For real?
Yeah, I went down off the hill once in the 6 weeks. So for a month, I didn't take a shower.
How?
He never left. He stayed up there for 6 weeks without cell phone reception, without a shower. We had an outhouse and a cabin that had like a refrigerator with our food. It all ran on a generator too. So we could just like tell the one person that got to go down what we wanted and they would bring it up. And then that was it. I stayed on this mountain for 6 weeks without cell phone reception, without a shower, without a bathroom. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I actually loved it, though.
Really?
Like, getting down
Would
to it.
you do it again?
No,
No.
I would. I think I would.
Really?
I had to think about it because it's like, I don't know if I'd want to do it for 6 weeks, but I'd definitely do it for like 3 weeks or maybe even a month. It was really like, I mean, down towards the end, because what you're doing is basically you wake up at like 8:30 a.m. and then you go to the cabin, get coffee, get breakfast, and like everyone's in there. And then you start trimming and you trim for like 14 hours and like that's what you're doing. And there's no
What do you mean trim?
trimming the like
I don't
sweet
know
leaf.
anything about drugs. I don't
Okay.
know.
You don't know anything about drugs? Really?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
I
Okay.
know. Everybody thinks I'm always high. I've never done a drug in
I
my
totally
life.
thought you were always high. I'm glad I'm
Everybody
learning
does.
this about you.
Yeah.
So basically, like, the plant grows, and then there's, like, these big leaves. So you big leaf the plants, and then you cut them into smaller, like, stalks, basically. And then you, like, take off the nuggets, which are, like, the flower of the plant, and they have this thing called sweet leaf. So it's, like, the longer leaves on it that aren't the bud, but they're, like, the leaves that stick off, and you have to cut those off.
This is all marijuana?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to cut those off and shape it into a nice shape so when people buy this, it was medical marijuana. It was all legal.
Yeah.
Just want to talk about that. When they buy their marijuana, it looks nice and it's all bud instead of sweet leaf. Like sweet leaf can get you high. It's what's like in shake and stuff, but the nice bud. So you're trimming, like we got paid per pound. So there was me and Eric sucked at it. So we trimmed like a pound each a day. And we tried so hard to get good because you could make so much money. Because there were some people that trimmed like 3 pounds a day. And we're like, why can't we trim 3 pounds a day? But a pound of marijuana is like, it's a lot of marijuana. That's a lightweight thing. I mean, a pound is a lot. There was a girl there that trimmed like almost 4 pounds one day. And I was like, my mind was blown. How is this possible? But, you know, you don't get recreation. You don't have the internet. You don't have cell service. I didn't talk to anyone.
No TV?
Nothing. No,
Oh.
nothing. So, you know, at one point towards the end, we were all kind of losing it. And we started throwing rocks at cups. And it was like the greatest idea that anyone had ever had. Like, we're like, hey guys, we're throwing rocks at cups. You want to come? Come join us. And then we're all out there and we're like, this is the best. Because we haven't had like recreation. I mean, we would drink every day and we would, you know, smoking weed was allowed and encouraged. And you could start drinking.
Encouraged.
You could start drinking at any time because you're just sitting in a chair using scissors to trim weeds, so it's like you don't have to really be all there for that. So we just order beer and cigarettes and smoke weed and cigarettes and beer and trim for 14 hours a day. It was really very interesting.
Is that anybody's full-time job?
Yeah, a lot of what's up there as far as like they call it the trim scene. So it's like these people in their 20s usually that kind of just go to like different farms from I want to say like September to or August to December. They go to different farms. They go on a trim tour and they trim at different farms and they make like, you know, $40,000 and then they just travel the rest of the year. Like there's one girl that was going to Puerto Rico afterwards.
Is it one person that owns this whole thing?
I mean, there's people that own the different farms, and a
Yeah.
lot of people like go between owners, but like, yeah, like the owners of the farm that we were on owned like 4 different farms.
And they're loaded.
Oh yeah,
That's insane.
yeah. I mean, they're paying trimmers enough for them to make $40,000 if they work from, August to December. So it's like, yeah, it's
Wow.
it's a lucrative business.
I gotta start getting my scissor game going. I don't know. I know
It's
nothing
hard.
about trunks, dude.
I thought I was gonna be so good at it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking rock this. Like, I'm gonna be so good at this. Eric's gonna suck. Like, I wanted to be better than Eric. Like, that was my whole thing. I just had to be better than Eric. We both sucked.
Damn
I
it.
sucked.
Well, unfortunately, we got to wrap, and it sucks, man, because you've been one of the best guests we've ever had.
Oh, thank you.
Shoot out again, where everybody can find you, what's coming up, the whole nine.
You can follow me on Twitter, that girl Terese, and Terese is spelled Terese. It's a very uncommon name, so I thought I'd throw that in. And you can see me at Stand Up Scottsdale next Saturday, the 21st, for the You've Got the Good show.
Whoops.
And watch my movie. It comes out on May 20th, I believe. I don't know
And it's called?
Pound of Flesh.
Pound of Flesh. Everybody go see the movie. Go see Teresa's first time doing stand-up. Because if anybody, if you want to support any comedy, it's all, dude, support somebody's first time. But then also go to April 2nd show with me and Johnny and Grant. Guys, thank you for listening. Terese, I can't thank you enough for coming, man. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun. Okay. I'm down. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Thank you for listening. See y'all later.
This has been another great presentation of the Four-Eyed Radio Network. You can catch more shows at foureyedradio.com.